I do 15 gone, bad. There we are, 18 kilos, better. 4 pound to get on, 24 pound a bit, 24 pound. Hey, 24 a bit, 24 pound. Have a look now, make no mistake. Gotta be sold all quite at 24 pound and gone. Number 5.
Nowadays, we move sheep around in trucks and think nothing of it. But it wasn't always so. 60 years ago, they were still herding sheep to market along the roads.
But then, you see, there were no lorries to be had.
And there can't be many men left who've been sheep drovers. But Dai Jones is one of this select band.
We used to have a soaking sometimes and go to bed real wet, you know. Wring our stockings in the chambers, and it wasn't very good, but we saved we were young, you see.
Dai has spent all his life in and around a remote valley in central Wales. The road to Abergwesin is narrow and tortuous. Its sudden bends give drivers little time to take action when they meet a fully laden forestry truck coming the other way. As the road climbs northwards, the valley narrows. To the west, the Cambrian Mountains, also running north-south, rise to 1,700 feet, their ruggedness and sparse cover contrasting with the gentle undulations of the richer land on the valley floor. Gradually, the farms get fewer and fewer, and by the time you reach Abergwesin, you've long ago left behind the noise and fuss of the town. One of the best ways of getting there is to use the post bus, which twice a day collects and delivers letters and passengers on a 19-mile circular route which ends at Abergwesin.
There we are. The old post office of Abergwesin.
Dai and his wife live in the old post office. She was originally the postmistress. At the moment, Dai's cutting a neighbour's hair in the shed, and Mrs. Jones is waiting inside the house. Stuart, the postman driver, leads the way.
Morning, Mr. Jones. Good morning. All right, thanks, and yourself?
I'd like to help yourself today.
Very good. I see Mr. Jones is busy out there.
Yeah, how are you? Well, he's been cutting his hair for over 40 years. Haven't he?
Huey's here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huey Craig. I tried it once. And I cut his hair once for him when Dai wasn't here.
While Mr. Jones is finishing his neighbour's haircut, Mrs. Jones, who can't get about now, commissions Stuart to buy some fresh bread from the shop 15 miles away and bring it back on his return journey later in the day.
Yes, a white one.
Okay. From the bakehouse in Belth or from Llanrydid?
Bakehouse in Belth is nicer.
From Belth. Okay.
You've got to bring a big one.
Yeah.
A pound for you, all right?
Right. Thank you. We shall sort that out.
You try to get one well baked.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
We'd passed a typical small Welsh chapel on the way to the Joneses, and it seemed we'd come at an important stage in the church calendar. How many people do you expect to see at the Harvest Festival?
Well, I can't tell you exactly. My husband was partly, but we get a good congregation in the afternoon, ladies mostly, and then in the night
the afternoon
it's Welsh.
is the English service,
English, yeah.
and the same thing in Welsh.
In the evening is Welsh, yeah.
And you bake things for that?
Well, we bake them all help together.
So how many do you expect?
It's in the chapel, you mean? Well, it should be around 50 or more. 50, yes. Yeah. Preacher from Llandovery, Mr. Wynne. Well, we haven't got a preacher yet. The different ones come, you see. I'm not able to go because I can't sit long in the same place.
So you won't be there at all?
I can't go. I did go the first year I had the fall, but I can't go now. So I had a car right to the gate, but it is a job for me now.
So will they come and see you after the service?
Oh yes, we get a few here for tea. The preacher and a couple of friends come. Yes,
Your husband leads the singing, doesn't he?
Yes.
What's the name of that? What does he call himself?
presenter.
He presents the music.
He presents everything, like, you see. He thanked the people for coming and different things, you see. Presenter, he'd been a presenter there for years, over 70 years we're in here. Yes,
What are we here?
Well, two people?
Now and
Two keen at running wood.
Dai was almost ready to talk over a cup of tea, but first we had to drag him away from yet another neighbour.
you haven't got that on the tape, have you?
Is
That's
it-
foreign language, man. Well, wait, you know, I spoke to the wife from Hereford Hospital, and they were delighted to hear, and my sister came to speak to me, see. Well, they were delighted to hear the Welsh language. The nurse was thrilled with it and said, I wish you kept on for another few minutes. Yes, indeed. Now we're carrying our time.
Finally, we got him into the chair in his living room.
When were you born?
1906.
You must have seen a lot of change in agriculture
I
then.
have.
What sort of things were different then?
Well, the labour was so much different. Cut the hay with a scythe then, you see. Well, now they're sitting on the tractor and baling it and carrying it.
And many more men, I should think, working on the farm.
Oh, yes, there was, you see. Well, they were every farm was growing corn then, you see. Nobody's growing corn now, and potatoes, and every farmer planting his garden, as well as the patch potatoes.
Did they grow corn round here?
Every farm. The farm down the road there on Tregarrow Road, I bet you there's 12 acres of corn there every year. I was growing 2 acres on the shepherd's cottage the Second World War.
I would have thought it was all sheep round here, always.
There's a lot of sheep here, but every farm had cattle, you see, and horses for the working then. Now it's the tractor, you see. Aye, the horses were eating a lot of the food, I know, but the petrol isn't cheap, so there's more money about now than there were then, you see.
Were there many in your family?
We were four, we were 3 boys and 1 girl, yes.
And what did your father do?
Shepherd all his life. The farm was 3,000 acres, or 3,000 sheep there, full time, yes.
What's your first memory?
We're going to school to Abergwesin, and yes, I attended school for 8 years in the Abergwesin school, and we were very lucky. We had English teachers all through. We learnt Welsh at home and in the Sunday school, you see.
Were you allowed to talk Welsh at school?
Oh yes, in the playground. Nobody objected to it. But they weren't supposed to learn, we weren't supposed to learn Welsh, which was our advantage. But that was no thanks to them. That was the rule and regulation, you see. Yes.
Do you remember World
Yes,
War
very
I?
well. I remember it starting. Yes, I remember there was a man living in the mill there, and he used to deliver the stuff for us, you see. And I remember us telling us that the war was started. Well, everybody was afraid then we'd be short of food, you see. That was why I never heard about the Second World War, but that was a lot of people then very, very nervous. Well, they hadn't seen a war, you see, before, you see. By the Second World War, it was a bit different. I never heard. And the rations, of course, but we didn't feel the rations. We had cows and we had plenty of butter. We had a pig. So we were landed, yes.
A lot of people were short of food, though, were in the towns, weren't they?
In the towns they were, you see. Yes, they had to stick to the rations, but we were well away.
What was life like then? It must have been a lot slower than it is today.
Well, it was harder, you see, and there was no money about. Everything was cheap, but there was no money.
How much was butter?
Well, of course, but 1 and 3 it was, but it went up a bit the First World War, you see. Of course, black market would have 3 shilling a pound for it. But,
Drop your troubles in your own kit bag and smile, smile, smile. While you've a Lucifer to light your fag, smile, boys, that's the style. What's the use of worrying? It never was worthwhile. So, pack up your troubles in your own kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
When you left school, what sort of work did you do?
well, I helped my father on the shepherding. Father's health wasn't too good, and of course I carried on with the shepherding after 1923. I was doing most of it.
Did you work for yourself?
Well, I was working a bit about the place as well, you see, having a few pounds like that, you see, yes.
And you used to do droving, didn't you?
Yes.
What did that involve?
Well, I started on that. I was on it for 10 years, off and on, not regular. We should start from the tower. The first journey I had to Brecon was when I was 17. And we used to start from the Towie Valley, you see, and then sleep at Garth Inn on the Wednesday night, and Thursday night in the Market Tavern in Brecon, and very often stay the Friday night. But then, you see, there were no lorries to be had. We had to load the sheep very often on a Saturday morning on the train. Well, of course, the latter years I was there were plenty more lorries about, you see.
What's the distance between here and Brecon?
16 miles from Garth, you see. We travelled 16 miles the second day, and there was about 12 miles from the Towie Valley to Garth.
And did you just walk along the roads?
Oh yes, walk, no ponies. But the ponies would be a nuisance for you, see. Traffic, not much traffic then, of course, I admit, but...
And how many would you have in the flock?
Well, all depends. I remember taking, the first flock I took over was weather lambs, about 600. But I remember one year I took 150 ewes on my own from Garth to Brecon.
How on earth do you control 150 ewes?
Well, I had a good dog. But I remember a drove of 1,250, but we were 4 men. Aye.
And did several farmers join together to make up the drive?
Well, they would come into Garth to meet us, you see, with a lot. The dealers were local men, you see. There was one in Langamach living, and the other man was in Cardiganshire. And they were joined with the dealing. The man in Cardiganshire would be buying Cardiganshire, and the man in Breckonshire would be buying in Breckonshire. And then the lot would be in Garth on the Wednesday night.
And how did you keep a record of how many ewes a particular farmer had given you?
Well, that was quite easy. You see, you had the number and you count them
It was all
right.
done by word of mouth?
Yes, that's right, yes.
So, how many times a year would you go between here and Brecon?
Oh, twice a year perhaps, or more sometimes. And because the owner of the Vannog sheep was one of the dealers. He owned half the sheep of the Vannog, you see. And I was at his beck and call any time. If he was a shorter man, he'd take me on from Garth. Not prepared for the journey sometimes, without leggings, you see, and have a soak in.
So you stayed the night at an inn. Where did the sheep stay?
Oh, there was a field. They had a field for them, you see. And at Brecon they had 3 or 4 fields.
What happened if you lost any? Who paid for that?
Well, accident it would be, but tin often you would lose them, day nor night. And of course, if they failed to walk, you left them in the farm by the side of the road, you see.
When they were driving other animals like cattle and perhaps geese, they used to put shoes on them. Did they bother with sheep?
Oh, never in nowadays. But I never drove much cattle, never drove far, only as far as Llanwrtyd. And but we took sheep to Bilth many a time, you know, helping the farmers in the locality.
Must have been a long day.
Yes, but that was life then. Yes. You'd have plenty of food and then you'd be all right. And if you had good kit, you'd be dry.
Providing the weather wasn't too bad. You must have been out in all sorts of weather.
Well, the weather was, you had to go wet or dry, cold or, you know, fine, you see. Only we used to have a soaking sometimes and go to bed real wet, you know. Wring our stockings in the chambers, and it wasn't very good, but we saved we were young, you see.
What about sleeping and eating when you were driving the sheep?
Well, you had a good breakfast in the Garth Inn, 2 eggs and home-cured bacon, and then at the Drover's Arms on a pint, we had a cup of tea there. And then we didn't have nothing. The trouble was, there was no place to fold the sheep, you see, from the Drover's Arms to Brecon. And we had to stay at Drover's Arms then and have a cup of tea. And there was a lady living there. We used to have the best of everything. Yes. And a glass of beer sometimes if you were thirsty. Yes.
Did you look forward to this work?
Oh, yes. I would like to be on it regularly, you see. Yes. But you see, there was a lot of dealers taking sheep to Brecon then. There was one dealer, Harris Curtacadno, he was a bit of a fortune teller. And out of that family was, well, now, there was another one from Llandewi Brevi, Sam Davis. He was taking sheep in the autumn every week. There was a tremendous lot of sheep going to Brecon then. It was a noted place for the markets. Yes. And all private selling, you see. Yes, all private.
You said you did it for 10 years.
Yes.
When did you finish it?
1933.
That's the year I was born.
Was it indeed? Well, 33, that's the last time I was there.
Why did you stop?
Well, I wasn't hired within the 1934, and of course the boss, Moll Davis, he died 1935 early, so I finished then.
So what did you do between 35 and 41?
Well, I was shepherding for my father, you see, and working if I had a job at the place as well, you see.
You came here, you said, in 1941?
Yes.
To run the post office with your wife?
The post office was here in 1934, you see. 56 and a half years. But when the war broke out, you see, we were called special constable in March 1939. And when the war broke out, we were called here on the Reserve Corps on duty. To be manned by 2 men by day and night until further notice. That was, we had that order 24th of August 1939. And May 1945, the stand down came. We are on 3 nights a week, 12 to 8.
As well as working during the day?
Oh yes, I work in all day. I never jibbed a day. I had to. I was an employed man then, you see. I took the shepherd instead of my father. Aye. Well, I worked 20 years on the forestry, and I was very, very happy there. And I'd be on the dole 3 days a week, 1950, only for the Forestry Commission. The farmer couldn't pay me more than 3 days a week. And of course I went to the forestry and I worked there 20 years. I was planting for 20 winters. every winter. Yes.
That sounds hard work.
Well, yes, as soon as you empty your bag, if you had big plants, you had some weight to carry, you see. If there were smaller plants, it wasn't so bad, you see. But as soon as you empty the bag, you have to fill it again.
And digging in all weathers.
Well, we're never out on the rain, on the forestry, never on the rain. But this forestry was outstanding for piecework, and we were very lucky for that.
What do you reckon to the world nowadays? It's a lot easier, some things are better?
Well, everything is easier, you see, and but the only thing, what's going to come of it, as things are carrying on, you think how the world is today, with all the robbery and the stealing. It isn't safe to leave a wheelbarrow out, is it? Stealing cars, and South Wales is bad as anywhere for stealing cars. They were warned today on the paper not to leave them anywhere.
If you wanted to give some advice to a young person today, what would it be?
Well, I don't know what to tell. Would they do what I advise them? I doubt it, you see.
Try them. Give them some advice.
Well, I don't know what to tell them indeed, but to stay at home more, I think, and don't go about so much. We couldn't go only a bicycle. I cycle a lot when I was young. Taking the butter down Lonnoted and so forth. It was a very cheap transport, you see.